banks and others like we did in 2012. So the bonds are callable in 2 years, which is why we're kind of putting the money aside for the next 2 years. It'll be enough to pay off the bonds, and then but we're calling them early, not the full 8-year term that's available.
Any other public comment on resolution number 4828? Do I have a motion by the commission on resolution number 4828?
Yeah, I make a motion, we pass resolution 4828.
So we have a motion by Friedman and a second by Navy. Roll call, please.
Chair Huffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
4.
Commissioner Friedman,
4.
Commissioner Maybe,
4.
Commissioner Newton, 4.
Motion passes. Next on our agenda tonight is one action item. Action item to discuss, approve, deny City of Livingston growth policy planning, funding options, and steps moving forward. Mr. Cardinal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this action item was placed on the agenda at the request of the commission. The current status of the growth policy is the last update was done last summer 2017. So as far as legality goes, we have 5 years before we have to update it again. The community and the commission have both expressed interest in updating it sooner than that, so we've looked at that prospect. A fully, I guess, a full growth policy process is probably a $60,000 to $80,000 venture. We bring in an outside consultant to do it, which is what has been requested. That's similar to what the county paid for their growth policy effort. So right now, the city doesn't have that $60,000 to $80,000 available in the current budget to pay for it. So the real question is, what are our funding options moving forward? Obviously, once we have funding secured, we can go out for a request for qualifications or a request for proposal and have different firms bid on what it would take at that point. And that is the timing aspect of it. But right now, really the only missing piece is the funding options. The city has identified about $20,000 that we have in extra building permit fees that were above what we budgeted for last fiscal year. So we do have some money that we can place towards it. So the options going forward are really 3 to 4-fold, depending on how you'd like to go about it. One is we can continue on that trajectory and save the money up over the years and pay cash. That's probably a 3 to 4 year process to save enough money to set aside. We can go out and try to solicit some private donations to help with that funding. We have been in talks with certain groups and we're trying to help defray some of the costs. So that's option 2. Option 3 would be to wait for the next CDGB block grant funding opportunity. This year we did receive a block grant for the impact fee study, so that is open currently, and we cannot ask for another grant until that one is closed out. That one will be moving forward shortly, but it's probably 6 months to a year before we'd be eligible to go with the CDGB route again. The final option, or your 4th option, is probably to go out for some kind of loan for the remainder of it, whether that's a state revolving fund or whatever other options out there, and then pay that debt service off over the following years. So those are kind of the financial steps going forward. And then really the only other question as far as the growth policy go is what do we do in the interim until that is accomplished. So that's kind of where we're at, and I will answer questions or you can just discuss. This is not, there's no required action tonight, it's just whatever you'd like to move forward.
Thank you. First, let's have public comment on action item A. Discuss, approve, deny future of our growth plan and steps forward.
Jake, 25 Southland. The last meeting, Mr. Carter, this topic came up on the agenda, and Commissioner Maybe said, I think I know some people that would be very helpful or maybe interested in helping alleviate this situation on there. And yet the city manager says, well, we could always look for somebody on there. I was present when when Commissioner Maybe said, I know of it, of a possible solution. And for Mr. Carlos to say, well, we could do this, we could do A, B, or C on there, it's beyond credulity. Thank you.
All right, any other public comment?
Hello, everybody. So this is not just a city, I appreciate the fact that, that we're finally getting to this point, would be great. There's a lot of opportunities out there, also some funding, that maybe I can pass on to Mike, Cardis with the state of Montana. We have many communities that are actually looking at these opportunities. Right now, we have the Montana State Chamber of Commerce is doing an Envision 2026. The next one will be held over in Butte, and that's coming up as well. I've recently attended a summit up in Kalispell, manufacturing, infrastructure, high tech. All of these items are very important and they're very on topic here in the state. I feel that I would be a great helpful person for you guys to bring to the table when we're ready to move there. But I can definitely at this point just start passing things on to you as the city commission and to Mike moving forward. Thank you, Leslie.
Any other public comment? All right, commissioners, do we have questions, comments? Warren, would you like to
Yes.
address the statement earlier?
The city manager covered the options that are still on the table. Nothing has been decided, so they're all still viable options. I still have contact with different folks who are interested in private sources who would be willing and happy to contribute funds to the growth policy. They do have one question for the city that they want to feel comfortable with before it goes any further, and that is what is the capacity of city staff to coordinate with growth policy consultants? My very limited understanding of how that works is there has to be some type of liaison between the consultants and the city to gather the information that they need to put the policy together. So that was their question. What is the ability of the city to coordinate that?
As far as the process goes, that's what we've assumed as a staff, is that any time we move forward with the policy, there's going to be a significant amount of time that's going to have to be spent on that. And we'd be willing to put that forward. We're certainly going to have to coordinate on the public meeting portion, existing documents such as strategic plan, the current growth policy, the Northwest Transportation Study, other transportation studies, all the background documentation that would go into that, current zoning maps, building plans, build out estimates, all of that would have to be provided to whoever would receive the contract to do that. And that's expected in 2024. Thank you.
Anything else? Any questions or comments, Warren?
No, it sounds just
You have the floor, so.
the last item is that it does sound like a very viable option. So it has a very good probability of going forward. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioners, any other questions, comments?
Yes, definitely our growth policy needs to be updated. But I really don't want to put the under overpass on the back burner either. I think we can still move forward with that without our without a growth policy. If we're looking long term, down the road at this, and I'd like to see some public public meetings regarding this. Because the planning process is gonna take a good year and a half. I attended quite a few things when, Park County updated theirs, and there's a lot to it. And I keep getting phone calls about, the Fifth Street crossing. I mean, it was just, we've been putting it off and off, and I just want to make sure we stay steady on that and going with that, regardless of the growth policy. Thank you.
Any other public, any other commissioner questions or comments? Warren?
Well, there was, it was mentioned that there'd be 3 meetings for considering just the rail crossing. So I think that it might not be the ideal replacement for the growth policy, but it would be an option that would allow people, residents to voice their opinions
That's exactly what I'm looking at.
in that. So I think that at the very least, they have to be scheduled and carried through. Thank you.
So. to
Yeah,
be
thank you.
clear-
That's exactly what I was
Yeah,
looking for.
to be clear, you're saying to continue with the meetings for the crossing and getting public comment and opinion on the crossing so that we can continue to move forward with that process, yet working simultaneously with the moving forward on the growth policy.
Yes,
Okay.
because to halt that, we just shortstop the rail crossing unnecessarily. Thank you.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Any other comments, commissioner comments? So one of the things I'm thinking would be our first step is to have the outside funds options come to us, maybe by the next meeting, at least some ideas on it, and press that forward. And then I like your reference to, I just want to state on the master plans and using that information that when we move forward with the growth policy, we have to make sure we're looking at the big picture from Parks and Trails master plan to, some of our studies, different things like that. Which I love that, as we've referred to before, that these are tools that we use to make decisions. And we have a lot of different tools we'll use for the master or for the growth policy planning. And then I wanted to state what you said already, Warren, that I'm very adamant, at least in my own opinion, that we don't stop process of the other important things, because that is a concern that we have been waiting. And if we stop to do one thing before we do another, there's potential in this case for us to run out of time, especially because of the funding and some of the requirements for the funding we have already spent. So that does worry me that we would wait. And I know a lot of the public was for us moving forward with the growth policy before we moved on, making that as that answering some of our questions, I should say, then we can move forward more. But I think in this case, I don't think that's a good idea. And I wanted to make sure I stated that. Any other, I am done with my opinion on it, but I am requesting, and I guess as a commission, we need to make a decision. I am requesting that we have by the next meeting some of those outside options a little more dialed in, at least.
Be
Doesn't mean
identified in it.
Yeah, at least semi-identified, because at this point, we just have the statement of outside funds. And Warren, you have some connections, and Mike Lango has some thoughts on it. So if we can move that forward, we'd You guys agree on moving that forward for the next agenda?
Well, I don't know that I could commit to, getting a commitment by the next meeting. I certainly would, bring an update, as to where the situation is or isn't. But there's no way that I can say, I'll definitely have some names and numbers.
And I agree that we're not able to do that, to have an absolute number, or even the names if they're willing at that stage to start committing. But at least we have updates and show that, and when we're moving forward, we're trying to move this. We're not waiting months down the road. At least have an update and put it back on as an action item for update and see where we can go. Would you be okay with that?
Absolutely.
You're okay with it since you have
Once
some
it's actually
connections?
done.
Michael, what do you think on that timeline?
We can certainly have it done, and if we have more information, we can provide it.
Any other ideas before we finish? Our action item?
I have one thing, actually. Just listening to the options, that Michael gave earlier, since private donations is still a question mark, I feel like, which is reasonable. I think that the next most conservative option seems like, outside of waiting for 3 to 4 years, is this waiting for the CDGD block grant, which you said that was like 6 to 12 months?
It'll depend on
Or
how, we'll be eligible to do it once we execute the entirety of the impact fee study.
So I think that, I just think that's an important thing to keep in mind as we think about the rail crossing, in conjunction with the growth policy, is that if we're waiting potentially 6 months to a year and tying the rail crossing into the growth policy, it set us back another year as a city, with the funding concerns and having to be moving forward on a project where the city is out, I think close to, what is it, close to $1 million? So I think that's just another thing to consider as we talk about whether or not the railroad crossing belongs parallel or moving on its own track, so to speak.
No, that's exactly what I've been trying to figure out too, yeah.
Because we don't want to
What's your
accidentally,
Yeah.
you know, make our community pay twice a lot of money. I just wanted to put that out there since we have to be realistic about all the possibilities before us.
Sorry, stating in your feeling, or your idea on it is that you would like us to move simultaneously forward.
Yeah, I think on separate tracks, you know, right now, since we don't want the growth policy to, as I see it, you know, from what I've heard since I've been living here is, I think the rail crossing has sort of been on the table or been looked at for several decades, right? So an entire generation of people has grown up in Livingston, and this issue is still not resolved. And so I would hate to see it not resolved and the city owe money on it. So, you know, it seems like it's two problems then instead of just one problem. So I think it makes sense to sort of decouple them. I don't mean to be using all these like train puns, but like maybe it's appropriate. But to have them sort of separate issues, you know, since we don't really know what's happening with the growth policy, to make sure that that gets resolved in a timely fashion.
There again, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, we hit
Sounds
a
like
nail on the head, exactly.
A lot of commissioners are on the same page.
Yep.
All right, anything else? Any other comments, questions? So our steps moving forward, we have one step right now. Do we have any additional steps that we would like or updates for the next meeting on this issue that you would like the city manager to work on? Mhm.
Is it too early to schedule, you know, public input or thoughts on that? Or do we need to have a little more comprehensive plan of what we're thinking of?
On the road policy portion,
You know, on the railroad.
I can cover that. If you'd like. Let's talk about it in my manager's comments, but I can talk about it now. So we've been holding off on those meetings for this discussion to make sure we're all on the same page. But what we're really looking at right now is 5 separate meetings, one in each voting district, held in that district, so maybe at the soccer fields, somewhere in the other districts, to allow people to come in and also to hopefully get some good data on that. So all the meetings, if they go as planned right now, will be open to anyone, but you'll have to be a member of that district to get a voting button for the night. So we can kind of get some statistics per voting district. That'll give us maybe a general feel of what each district feels and what the chances are of things moving forward if we decide to take it to a public vote.
That's
So,
exactly what I'm trying to push. And
So hopefully that'll do 2 things. It'll give people 5 options to come hear the information,
Right.
but they'll have an option where they can actually give specific, and like here, I mean, they can come talk about it as well. It's not like if you're not from that district, you can't speak at the meeting. But we'll actually try to get some voting mechanisms in there so we can get some hard data on what's supported, what's not supported. Stuff that I can bring back as actual data to the
Right.
commission to kind of give you a feel for each district, hopefully. We're working on where those can be right now. So we're working on locations. We're also working on the overall presentation. There's a lot of information to get out because it's not just the process that needs to be talked about in those meetings. It's the extension- funding, the extension of Front Street, utilities, some of the growth that's already occurring out near PFL. So we'll go through all that information in a setting, allow people to, talk about it, and then actually go through a series of questions where they can give us some hard data on how they'd like to go forward. And that's something that I should be able to bring back. So
Great.
probably, I really want to focus on that presentation because I think it's going to be key to the entire process. So probably December, January timeframe, try to get all of those meetings through. I think that still gives us time to move forward with the processes that we need to move forward.
Yeah, I was thinking of January as the latest.
Right.
Get the holidays behind us. I mean, we're mid-October now, and then November's going to happen. So, yeah, but that's exactly what I'd like to see happen. For what it's worth.
Since we're done with agenda or action item.
Yeah.
Moving on to city manager comments, and so your comments on planning our steps forward for the crossing. Now, I do have a question on that as far as, have we looked into or organized with the outside entity that was going to facilitate for us?
We're in the middle of scheduling that, and actually, that's part of, they're helping us develop the entire presentation so that they can find it. So if there's some scheduling still, it has to be, make sure everybody's available for home meetings.
What entity are we looking at?
The extension office, MSU extension.
Any questions on this issue?
I have a question. So, when you said that individuals would have the opportunity to vote within their district, do they have to be in person at that meeting to vote, or is there an opportunity for them to vote even if they're unable to come to the presentation?
They're probably going to have to be there physically because what we're looking at is actually using the voting buttons. So they'll not only get a vote, but they'll also get instantaneous feedback on what the group voted that evening. Everyone's always welcome to provide their opinions, and if they want to provide it in a format that we can tally the data, we can add that on later. But the easiest way to make sure it's captured will be to actually be there. I would love to do 10 meetings so that people have 2 opportunities in their district to do it, but I just don't think there's time to get that done. So we're gonna have to be we have to do an excellent job of getting that information out there so that everyone's aware of when their meeting is, where it is, and that they get the chance to participate. And we will have a secondary method for them to try and get information to us, just probably isn't going to be quite as efficient.
Right.
Will they be publicly noticed?
They'll all be publicly noticed. And if you would like to attend the session, we can also notice them as work sessions, so that any number of you can attend.
That's why I'd like to
No
see it.
action can be taken.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I look at them as more like less listening sessions, so you go to events so you can understand what the tenor of the community is. So if we could have it noticed that way, it'd be great.
Right, and we'll notice it as a work session, and that way, no votes can be taken, no action can be taken, but it'll allow you, as many of you as you'd like to attend.
Precisely.
Any other?
Just one administrative item, looking at our calendar for our next meeting. It is currently scheduled for 6 November, which is Election Day and also a holiday for city offices this year. So it's probably going to be a little harder to get everything set up for the meeting. However, we are in a nice cycle right now. It's a 3-week period in between. So I would suggest moving that meeting to the 30th of October, which is 2 Tuesdays, so it's 2 weeks from today.
That would work, yeah.
Which allows us not to hold a meeting on the election day and then get back on our regular schedule for the second Tuesday in November. So really all it does is it shifts it from being 3 weeks to our next meeting to 2 weeks, and then it'll be 3 weeks to the next meeting instead of 2. So it just shifts that one meeting one week.
Then that meeting on the 20th is right before Thanksgiving holiday. Is that a problem? Sometimes people leave because people have the day before and the day after Thanksgiving off. Any other problems?
If you desired, it also lets you move that meeting up a week, so you could do a meeting on the 30th
13,
and a meeting on the 13th,
13. Well,
and that would give you your 2 November meetings.
mhm.
So we are all in agreement that we're moving the meeting to the 30th?
I'm for it.
Or what?
Sounds good.
The city commission meeting to the next one to the 30th of
Already put
October.
it in.
Anything else?
That is all.
Commissioner comments, Melissa? Warren?
Welcome, Melissa. I have, and this has nothing to do with the applicants, the 3 applicants for the commission. I have a legal notice that reads that public interviews will be conducted the week of October 8th. The appointment is anticipated to occur on October 16th at 6:30 p.m. The next time this occurs, I would very much like a meeting in between so that the commissioners can discuss and share their ideas regarding the applicants, rather than hear the applicants and vote immediately.
So discuss in the next meeting.
I don't know how you can legally do it. I think that, my preference would be that it would be some type of work session or whatever where, it can be discussed openly without offending anyone. That
We're
would
talking
be
like a closed section or an open section?
Talking open, just, I guess giving us a week to digest the information we have, because we have 30 days to push us along.
Well, I would
And,
like the
and then-
commissioners, in whatever format, to be able to discuss it between themselves.
Unfortunately, that's not
And can't
a
do
That's
legal,
not viable.
no,
It has to be
has to
warned,
be.
it has to be open
Then there should be an open meeting.
Yeah, that's exactly.
after
we should do
the
that.
interview,
Yeah.
or do you see it like days away from?
No, I think it should be, an open meeting, maybe a week later, maybe
Yeah,
5 days
No
later,
more than a week, yeah.
that,
Right, like it would have had to have happened tonight because it's our last opportunity.
Right,
right.
right. But I think
And we
that,
discussed that, and I thought you were on board with that.
well,
but I kinda know what
I
you
don't
mean.
think I was thinking straight. Because, that idea has not struck me as a good one, ever since. I'd like
Yeah, it
to
seems
be
like
able
it's a
to
hurry
discuss.
process, yeah, you want to digest.
Yes,
I agree with you.
Warren, I asked a lot of questions of both of them based on the timing, because of that 30-day window and giving the applicants enough time to apply. It was very rushed. And I get what you're saying. I'm not sure how we could fit it all in again, but I agree that we are the discussion part in open meeting, not, it's not a closed meeting, we know that. is a vital part of any interview process. And so that's what it was, is an interview, and it's like filling a job or a role. And we didn't have a lot of time to really kind of delve into the candidates, so, and to discuss the interviews in general. So, other than the timing, which it was hard,
Yeah, Darrell would actually, she wanted to wait a week, I know that.
we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Because of state law, the 30-day window from start.
Yeah, it's not
start
like we
to
do
finish.
this every day.
Yeah,
Well, I'd like it somehow, as a firm process down the road,
Yeah, we should
to,
amend that.
like
Yeah.
in our,
Yeah.
and if
amend the
it's,
form
our
that we have.
process,
To
commission
have-
processes.
yes,
Mhm.
to have a meeting after the initial discussion with the applicants. And again, I will say out loud, it has nothing to do with the applicants. I just think, having been and run a small business, I can't imagine making an immediate decision like that on hiring. So I don't know what it takes to do that, to do this, but I would like to have some kind of a time frame between the interview and the actual vote.
So
Don't we, yeah,
we're working on some of our processes, everything from meeting times, which, by the way, we should talk about as a commission again. But could we add that to it, and if you could help us along and kind of refine some of our processes? I know we'd already planned it, but
It's a commission process, so it can be whatever you want.
we need like list, you know?
right, yeah. well,
Something
so-
listed for us to help through the things we do need to start considering for processes, so it can be regulated in the future versus kind of being unsure at the last second or depending on what it
Well, it's
is.
not an ordinance, is it, that we have, or anything like that, a formal process that's
It-
written down.
It is in the ordinances, it's just not very specific.
But basically, we just need to amend that ordinance and pull it up and we can put it on an agenda. And we clean that up and then we should refer to that every time we have a vacancy.
Maybe in the future, we have an agenda item, probably not for the next couple of
Right.
months, because we have so much we're working on that really talks about us looking at the process of the city commission and some of the things we've talked about in the past as well, adding.
Yeah, it's just not this.
Yeah. And then what we want to do with directly city manager to do, I guess, in some cases, to help us. Okay, would that be good?
Yes.
Anything else for him to add,
Nothing.
discuss?
I'm good.
No?
I have kind of an action item. I've been very remiss on doing the second Saturday of the month listening session. But Michael McCormick would like to start to do it again, and we were looking at the second Saturday in November, either the 9th or the 16th. The 16th might probably work better. November. I mean, 17th, I'm sorry.
We'll have a chance. Michael also invited us to breakfast.
That's what I mean. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, he wants to do this kind of.
Would that be the breakfast?
Yeah.
On the 17th? Or the 10th?
Kind of, he was left it up to us, what works schedule wise for everybody else.
Yeah.
And plus, we have to notice it, so we have enough time for that.
Any ideas? Are you asking for?
You want the 10th or 17th? Anybody have a preference? Geez, make it hard. It's after election day, let's do it the 10th. Kind of stays on that thing that Jim started, you know, is second Saturday of the month,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
and then details to follow, you know, for time.
maybe at the next meeting.
Brad, the next meeting, and maybe think of what we want the format to be. Or to just, you know, more of a casual. Nothing really set in stone, that we just have breakfast, visit, work around the table, so, open for the suggestion.
yeah.
I think that's it, you know, as far as the new stop signs, keep coming close on, I have one at Lewis and B Street. But since the trees have been trimmed, it's not bad. So, that's all I have, thank you.
I have just a couple of things. I was going to refer to the new signage, which people, you know, a little upset with the change, or the changes, but they do like what's happening overall, I'm hearing. Change is hard, is the best way to say it. Second update is this is from MRL. They have committed to fixing the crossing at Fifth on the 12th of November. There have been a lot of people complaining about actually losing trailers off of their vehicles, various things, bikers. I'm hoping, do you know, Michael, if they are addressing the walking?
They should address that
Yeah.
entire patch, but we can double check with them. I don't know if it's on the 12th or the week of the 12th. I don't think they've picked an actual date yet.
Week of the 12th, okay, sorry, and, I would love to see the sidewalk area as well fixed, because that's just as bad. But people have posted on Facebook and various other statements made about how bad it is, so it's good to hear that MRL has committed to fixing it.
I can play with some recordings of phone messages I've had of the train blocking the darn intersection. Neither.
When they're fixing it, it will be walked again.
Yeah, yeah,
So, might as well prep
Yeah.
right now. Other than that, that's all I have. So do I have a motion from the commission for
So moved.
adjournment? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting of the Livingston City Commission adjourns at 7:24.
Pretty good. Now you got to remind me. My food resource, and I gotta find that we're gonna go down there.
Now that I've
With, like I said, that-
reading your priorities.